You were just a kid. There was nothing you could do. What could you do? You tried to tell the police officer he didn't believe you. You know, what do you think you could have done? I could have gone back to that house and I could have killed him. That's what I could have done. And all those women would still be alive and all those people wouldn't have been hurt.
I'm in shock at this point and my heart is pounding. So he said, I have to tie you up. I started to cry when he tied it, and so he tied it tighter. That's the man that attacked me in my apartment. And it was Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker.
I survived Rodney Alcala, better known as the dating game killer. He attacked me when I was 13 years old.
Like a nightmare that just doesn't end, it just goes on and on and on.
He seemed to have marked me as a victim.
I didn't know what was going to happen.
Found me again when I was 16. This time I was hurt a whole lot more. I was born in Rochester, New York. In 1960, I was 9 years old. My father was transferred to Los Angeles. He was working a secret government job, and we were sat down and told that we can't ask questions and we can't tell anybody, and we're not allowed to know what my father did. In those days, all the teenagers went to Hollywood. You would go down there and they'd just be sitting on the sidewalk, sitting on the bus benches. Nobody was a stranger. Everybody talked to each other. Everybody talked about what they thought, what they felt. Unfortunately, opening ourselves up like that to everyone brought in people that just wanted to take advantage. We were at this teenage nightclub to watch the bands unload and come in. And there were just two other people, two older guys. One of them was a very attractive guy, you know, tall, dark hair, nice curls, bright eyes, easy smile. And he kept looking over and flirting, you know, he kept looking over and winking and waving and kind of waved for us to come over and join them. My girlfriend said, I know who that is, that's Rodney Alcala. You know, a skinny little 13-year-old, I wanted his attention, so I reached over and I just kind of lightly scratched his arm with my fingernail. And he put his arm around me and pulled me up close to him, smiled, laughed. I thought that was pretty cool. So I did it again. And this time he didn't think it was so much fun. He just seemed a little aggravated. And they went on with their conversation and I just kind of stood there for a while and then I got stupid and did it again. And this time he pulled me really close and pulled me like really tight and said, don't do that again. And I was 13 and dumb, so I did it again. So his friend turned around and walked away, and he grabbed me by my arm, dragged me to the back of the club. My feet didn't even touch the floor. He was so angry and just his face turned red. When we got to the back of the club where no one could see, I honestly don't know what he did because I don't remember anything because he knocked me out. Didn't have anything in his hand. He didn't punch me. So if I had to guess, I think he just slammed my head into the wall. When I woke up, I had pressure against my chest. I didn't know what it was. He had put me behind the dumpster behind the nightclub and pushed the dumpster up against me.
was April 9th, 1984. I was pretty new to San Francisco. I had just graduated from college. When I saw this ad for a studio apartment on Chestnut Street in the Marina District, I was like, that's the place I want to live. And we made arrangements that I would move in on April 1st. I believe I took the bus home that night, and then I walked over to my apartment on Chestnut Street. Went into the building, walked up the one flight to my apartment, and went into my apartment and was basically, home for the night. So now it was 10:30. All of a sudden, I heard a creak in the floorboards of my hallway, my apartment hallway. And the door was partially closed, so I looked where the hinges are, and I could see out, and I see a man coming towards the bathroom door. I, with all of my might, put my body against the bathroom door, like tried to shut it as quickly as possible, giving out the loudest scream, but I was too late. And the door came busting open. I fell backwards. I hit my head on the bathtub, and I'm laying on the ground, and this guy's on top of me. He pulls out a knife. He first puts it to my stomach, and then he puts it to my neck. And he has his hand over, one hand has the knife, the other hand, he's covered my mouth. And he said to me, "Why did you have to scream like that?" I didn't know what was going to happen at that point. So he said, "I have to tie you up." He pulled the strap off of that purse, and he had me put my hands behind my back, and he tied my hands together. I started to cry when he tied it, and so he tied it tighter. So now I knew he was getting pleasure from terrorizing me. So he said, "Where's the money?" And I knew I only had $11 in my wallet, and it was in the kitchen. And I couldn't speak, so I just kind of motioned with my head, like in the back, because the kitchen was down the hallway. So I heard him walk down the hallway, go into the kitchen, and he came back within a minute, and he leans his shoulder into my back, and he said, "Where's the rest of the money?" And I didn't have any. I didn't have anything. I mean, my jewelry was very little. It wasn't expensive. And so I could tell he was annoyed. He was annoyed he was only getting $11. My bedroom light was on. So he went over, and I heard him click it off. And I thought, maybe he's going to go back out the window, which is the way he came in. I hear him walk over to the window, and then I heard him shut it. And I realized he was still in the apartment.
Something about being in that, group of screaming teenagers watching bands, got in my blood. And that's all I ever wanted to do after that, was to be in Hollywood. It was 4 years later. I was now 16. I had just found out that my father's job had ended, and we were being transferred back to Rochester, New York. Yeah, I was heartbroken. I didn't want to leave, the 60s Hollywood that I loved. I had 4 more days. I was up on Sunset Strip by the whiskey. We were all dancing in the doorway, singing, talking, having a good time. And Rod appeared in the crowd. Normally I would have just left the area. I never wanted to be anywhere near him. But this time I only had 4 more days in California, so I'm not going anywhere. He disappeared in the crowd, and I forgot all about him. Maybe an hour later, someone I didn't know came up to me and my friends, and he said, hey, we're all going down to IHOP and get a big strawberry waffle, you know, you guys want to go? My friends knew this person, and we said, sure, you know, it was a thing to do, go down, get a strawberry waffle, come back up to the Strip. So we walked across the street and jumped in the car. My two friends were on either side of me. The guy that invited us was in the front seat, and the driver got into the car, and it was Rod. And he just, you know, hit the gas out into traffic, took off. And I was, you know, I don't want to go. I don't want to be with you, please. You said you'd leave me alone. I want to get out of this car. Just stop, please. I wasn't sure what to do. He hadn't threatened me in any way. I don't know, it was just a really weird position to be in. I didn't want to be with him. I didn't know what to do. Would have been maybe a 4-minute trip back up to the Strip, and Rod suddenly took a turn and drove a couple blocks, pulled up in front of the house. He said to them, come on in, guys, I've got pot. My friends all thought that was pretty cool, so they jumped out of the car, you know, and I went in his house, and I'm standing in the driveway going, I'm not going in that house, this is crazy. I'm 16 years old, I mean, I was just a kid, I didn't want to go in this house. I would walk from the table into the other room and back. I just kept pacing back and forth. And the one time when I went to walk from the table into the other room, Rod was hiding around the corner, grabbed my arm and threw me into a room. Kind of staggered to my feet and turned around. And he was holding a 5-foot metal bar. He had brackets on the side of his door, and he took the bar and dropped it down into the brackets so that you couldn't open the door. He pulled his belt off and he wrapped it around his hand. He just came across that room in leaps and bounds. I mean, he was just there in 10 seconds. But when he got to the other side of the room where I was standing, he just stopped still. He just stood there and stared at me. And my mother was one of the first women Marines. She had a certain bearing to her, and I just summoned my mother's spirit, I remember, and I just kind of stood up as straight as I could, and I said, you can't keep me here. And he punched me between my eyes with the metal part of the belt over his hand, and I just dropped to the floor. I mean, there's sparks flying. I didn't pass out, but I came real close. And I couldn't catch my equilibrium. I was on my knees on the floor. He had a knife. I don't know where he got the knife from. And he cut the tie off of my neck and cut my neck at the same time. Pushed my face to the floor and then tied my hands behind my back with the tie. And he took the belt and folded it and just started pushing it in my mouth, just shoving it into my mouth to where it was practically down my throat and I couldn't breathe. He took my hair and he wrapped it around his wrist, and I was still on my knees. He lifted me by my hair and he started punching me in the stomach as hard as he could, and I could actually hear my ribs breaking, and it forces all the blood and the bile up into your throat behind the belt and getting into your lungs, and I couldn't breathe. I don't remember a lot of the rape, probably because I choose not to. I remember him standing over me to take his pants off. I tried to center myself, and I tried to go into survival mode. I tried to, don't think about what's happening, think about what you can do to save yourself. My friends realized I was gone, couldn't find me, realized that something was wrong, and, you know, went to his door, knocked on his door, tried the door, it was locked. They managed to actually break the door in, but it wouldn't go any farther than the metal bar. I guess he saw his moment slipping away, so he started to strangle me. I can just kind of remember everything would just go dark and cold, And then there'd be a little light again, and then it would happen again. They eventually, caused enough of a commotion that he got off of me. I pulled the belt out of my mouth. He went and he took the bar off the door, and everybody ran in the room. He was proud. I don't have a better word. He did not react like, I need to get out of here, I've been caught. He literally stood there proud, naked from the waist down with my blood all over his shirt, and just said, take her. I remember those words, how nothing I was. Take her. And Michael helped me to my feet, and I ran. They were deciding what to do, where do we go, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I walked out in the middle of Sunset Strip and walked in front of a moving car.
He was just on me, and so I started doing anything I could, trying to hit him. He put his fist in my mouth to keep me from screaming, so I bit his finger, and I bit down hard. When I did that, I think he was in so much pain, or he was just the way he was, so he bit me on the bridge of my nose. I said to myself, this is it. You need to fight. That's when he put his hands around my neck. And I tried in vain to get his hands. It was as though his hands were made of metal. They were so tight on my neck. And I would be pulling and pulling and pulling, trying to loosen up his grip. Bob Davis, the man who ends up saving my life that night, is actually banging on my door, my apartment door, saying, "Are you okay in there? Are you all right?" My attacker runs to the other side of the bed as if to hide, and it gave me that opportunity to run down the hallway, open up the door, and that's when I saw this man. This other man, Bob Davis, he goes into my apartment, and the light from the hallway shone on my attacker's face. He got to see his face very clearly. It was such an evilness in the eyes of this person. Finally, I'm able to leave San Francisco. I was now back living with my parents in New York. Now, this was early September 1985, so about 17 months after I was attacked. And I, sitting down, and I open up the LA Times, and right there on the second page is a picture of a man with his head completely bandaged, just his face was showing. And I looked at that picture and I said, I actually screamed in my head, that's the man that attacked me in my apartment. And then I read the headline, and it was Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker.
What have you been arrested for? You ever been arrested before?
Danny, where's your car?
Never been arrested before in LA?
My fourth one down.
When? How long ago? Sit up. How long ago?
Let's get all these.
What's your name?
Detectives Frank Calzone came down from San Francisco and showed me the video lineup, and then had each of the men in the lineup say a few things. As soon as Ramirez spoke, I, without any doubt whatsoever, I knew that this was the man that had attacked me. Detective Falzone, he pulled me aside and he said, you know, you were really lucky that you got him so early. He hadn't gotten quite that bad yet. And I thought to myself, oh, I was lucky that I was one of his first victims. Like, wow, I was lucky.
To put miles of tape on my ribs. A butterfly closed all the knife wounds. Michael spent 4 days just literally holding me, trying to feed me tea or soup or whatever he could. He'd take me out on the beach every morning and wrap a blanket around me and say, you know, it's a new day, it's a new life, you'll be okay. He really saved my life.